Gilda, Ember, A True Love by Swedish Gilda. One they had were Gilda in Ponyville to visit Rainbow Dash since they became friends again. Gilda and Rainbow Dash were sitting at her home talking about most of their childhood memories from the Junior Flies Club. But they were most talking about Gilda's past mistakes, and that she realized true friendship is something that is worth looking forward. Ever since she had made one friend in Griffithstone, she had traveling around and made some more friends. Even Gilda and Rainbow Dash has been writing letters to each other back and forward to see how they are together and how Gilda's progress into make more friends. And ever since she made one friend in Griffithstone, she actually started to make some more in Griffithstone. And with that help, the Griffithstone has slowly restored and recovered from the loss of the Golden Island. Now is Griffithstone once again a flourishing civilization with many connections to every country and so far they can see. Gilda had decided to go to Ponyville to see Rainbow Dash since they hadn't seen each other for months. At the same time when she was there, Dragon Lord Ember was in Ponyville to visit Twilight for a treaty. Ever since a new pony town was built in Dragon's Lands, Ember was there to sign a treaty about starting a railroad to this new town from Ponyville and the rest of Equestria. Since Celestia had given Twilight the permission to do this, and since she already had a good friendship with Ember, Ember was very happy to at least have this new connection between the new Pony Town in Dragonlands and rest of Equestria. She was actually looking forward to this new project could actually develop into something more. Since they had all the dragons and accepted ponies as their friends, even if first they were a bit against true friendship, they thought friendship is something that are only for weak creatures, not as dragons, since they can take everything they want, but if they asked for help, and they always get help. But even then it took some time, but even with Amber's efforts, and even her concern if the dragons were even accepting friendship. But with help of Twilight, Spike, and Starlight, it worked perfectly. Every dragon now had accepted true friendship. And even dragons from Dragon Town had been able to go back home, or at least visit some of their distant cousins or distant families. The dragons had actually started spreading around Equestria to form small communities or small colonies. At first it was a bit hard for the most of the ponies there, but they didn't want to have any dragons near their town, because they feared that dragons would eat them. But after some time, those dragons were actually accepted in part of their community. Soon had almost like every major city and smaller towns at least 1 or 4 dragons in it. But was still the most population was actually in Dragon Town, in Philadelphia, and Dragonstance. And after this meeting with Twilight was over, Amber decided to spend some time with Spike to catch up some time, since they haven't seen each other for several months, just only to spend some time to see what else is happening. And they actually had a lot of time, a lot of things to talk about. Amber told that Most of her time as a Dragon Lord has become very much peaceful since every dragon accepted friendship. But she's still missing but she still had organized tournaments for dragons to fight, but only for a friendship, a friend competition to see who's the strongest. And every year since then, she had actually started an annual monthly tournament to see who can win against one of them. Unfortunately, she made that she couldn't be part of it. Since she's a Dragon Lord, that would not be a good idea. So, but instead she became the judge for those competitions. And Spike thought that wasn't actually a good idea. It's because those competition tournaments could actually increase a dragon's morale in their not became even to keep them exercised and even keep them in shape. Even since after dragons had started to living in a part of Equestria, Ember had thought maybe they could develop their own cities in Dragon's lands, and she had actually performed some ideas for some of the big companies around Equestria. Some of them were a little bit skeptical about this, but Amber assured them dragons are peaceful now, and they wanted to be part of the Mars society. So several companies around Equestria, either from Canterlot, Trottingham, Baltimore, and Crystal Empire, became part of it. At the same time, that was actually good for both the dragons and Equestria, economical way. Ember was happy to be a new leader of a quest from the Dragon Lands, but there was just one thing that she missed the most, and that was actually her finding her special sound pony. Even that Ember was wanting to find her special sound pony somewhere, or even a dragon or any other creature, but she couldn't even find it. At the same time, Gilda had also been looking forward to find her special sound pony, but she had the same problem. Even she had dated as other male griffins in Griffinstone, but unfortunately they didn't work out so well. There were no fights or something like that, but just she didn't feel any right connection with any of those griffins. Even she tried to give one griffin at least 2 or 3 times a chance, but every those chances didn't feel any connections. So she decided to wait for dating for a while to see if it happens if she met her special sound pony otherwise. Gilda has actually decided to stay in Ponyville for a short while, since her bakery in Griffinstone was taken over by Gabby and some other friends, so she decided to take a small vacation from it. And she actually had to ask Rainbow if she could stay at her place. And Rainbow had no in mind. They didn't mind that Gilda stayed at her place for some time, since they had a lot in common. For the next week she was there, she actually spent time with Rainbow about pranking on some of her friends like Pinkie Pie, Rarity, Twilight, and even Applejack. At first they was getting, but didn't expect them to be pranking them. But after some time they get actually used to it, and Twilight had asked Gilda how she likes to stay in Ponyville. And Gilda had used to answer that she likes it, but it was not like Griffinstone, but it is calm, smaller, but it's perfect place to stay in it. And just one day later, when Gilda was walking around town, she actually encountered Amber. They had met each other a few times before, but this time she actually walked into her without seeing it. She apologized to Ember and she said it was no wrong with it. She was not hurt. And they actually stood there and talked for a bit. And then Ember asked if Gilda wanted to go somewhere to take something to drink or eat something. And Gilda was actually starting to get on thirsty, so they went to a small cafe nearby to grab something to drink. Gilda and Amber was sitting at the cafe drinking some ciders, and they actually started to. First, it was a bit quiet. They didn't speak much, except from how they like being Ponyville, how the life was in Griffithstone, or some sort of basic talks. But after a while, they both started to like each other. And just about a few months later, Gilda was back in Griffithstone and Dragonland, and Amber was back in Dragon's Lands. But over time, they actually started writing letters back and forth to each other. And in one of those letters, Amber had admitted her feelings for Gilda. Gilda was very surprised, but she wrote back to Amber and explained that she had also the same feelings. Both of them decided to start dating. And it didn't take much time because of their emotions to get stronger for each day. At first, Rainbow was surprised to hear that Gilda was dating Ember, and Spike was equally surprised to hear that his friend was dating Gilda. Even Ember was known about Gilda's past mistakes and some of her past bullying, but she had accepted that Gilda had put those days behind her and looking forward to make some more friends. Gilda and Amber has started to get more in love with each other, and even then, there was just one winter that they couldn't see each other for at least 2 weeks, because there was a bad storm in the area around Griffithstone. Gilda couldn't even leave Griffithstone for 2 weeks by the time. No letters were able to get there as well, so entire Griffithstone was completely insulated from the rest of the world for 2 weeks. But after the storm had passed, everything was back to normal. And just barely 4 years later in their lives, Gilda has actually proposed to Amber, and Amber couldn't even say no to that answer. She actually said yes. Gilda had asked Rainbow to be her bridesmaid, and Twilight had been asked to be Amber's bridesmaids. But they had even asked Cadence to perform the ceremony. Afterwards, it was a small party which Pinkie Pie and Discord had organized. But later, it was time for them to go to their honeymoon, and they went to a tropical island resort, and they went on their honeymoon for about 3 whole weeks. It was just the most perfect moment for them both. They had never been so happy to be in love and in marriage with each other. At first they thought this relationship would even work out, but it turns out it did work. Now they're happy together. And 3 years later, Gilda and Amber want to start a family together. So they had asked Twilight for help. This was a big challenge for her, since a griffin has never been able to get any children with a dragon before. But with the help of alicorn magic, they actually made Gilda pregnant. Gilda was actually looking forward to being a mother, and they found out that she was having a son, half dragon, half griffins. And they decided to actually stay in Dragon's Lands together as a family. And that day came when the son was born, named him Smoky Wings. Smoky Wings was actually very much like her mother, brave, loyal, and sometimes he could be not so listening to his mothers. He wanted to do things his own way. But after some while, he was taught to listen, to obey his parents, even they know that they are asking him too much. But he knows later on that they are always there to protect him. In fact, when he was about 15, he wanted to be something else. He actually wanted to play sports, but he couldn't play so well. But later he actually started to play hoofball until he began some injury. But instead he became a hoofball teacher, a coach in a local school in Poland. He actually later married another girlfriend who lives in Poland, and they had 3 sons of their own. And that's how Amber and Gilda found their true love and got a family. The end.